about home. They're married to real estate.
Well, good morning and good afternoon and good day, everybody. Welcome to Married to Real Estate Podcast. You heard the intro already. Mary Forrester and Mary McCauley is here.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, baby. It's good to see you in this January. It's cold outside in Massachusetts, which is where we are, and we're loving it. I'm loving it. Today we have a great guest, somebody that Mary and I both know, and can't wait to get started. But in the meantime, Mary, you won an award, a bronze award in your office.
I did. Well, so yes, we had our award ceremony. So it was for production in 2023. I also was the cultural ambassador for our office for the New England region of Keller Williams. So that's actually 2 years in a row with that. So big into the culture of our office, which I do love. But no, let's see what else is going on. Just trying to get a grip on the new year in between shoveling and no, I'm just kidding. No, I was. I had the opportunity to attend a private Zoom with the NAR chief economist, Dr. Lawrence Yun.
Yes,
and he has great things for 2024. So I'm really excited. So they're predicting 4 to 5 rate reductions over the course of the year.
Good.
And so interest rates, so that's good news. And a lot more buyers will be back in, but also a lot more sellers. A lot of life changes have gone on over the past 2 years that are going to, now will be the time for that they expect people who've had babies or divorced or want to downsize or move to Florida or whatever's going on. So that's really exciting because it's going to be maybe the spring market, he's projecting will be a little frenzied like it has been because inventory is still low, but over the months, over the course of the year, it's going to be a little more balanced,
yes.
which we haven't seen since pre-COVID. So
I have to say, you posted that on Facebook, and thanks for coming back and posting the chart again separately.
Yeah.
So if you want to see a good resource on real estate, follow Mary McCauley on Facebook. So it's really
And
nice.
what about you? What's going on?
I got my check from my referral in Watertown. Remember that? I talked to you about Watertown maybe about 6 months ago. It finally closed. And let's see. And on my way back from D.C. for memorial service for a most magnificent man, I got to give a referral to somebody.
You do know how to connect with people and connect people with the right people.
A lot of people, though, are doing this. Sudoku, I do the Sudoku thing, but
on their phones, trying not to talk to people.
Harder to talk to people. But guess what? We have the most amazing man with us today.
I'm so excited.
Who we both know and to love, and who is an always conversationalist. Always. And so, everybody, I want you to meet Mr. Matt Swierk. I worked for Matt for several years at Keller Williams on his team, and his world expands. Expands. And now you're bringing everybody into that one expansion of Elevated Safari. So tell us how life is today. Tell us how you got to Elevated Safari. Tell us how you miss us terribly in real estate.
Tell us what is Elevated Safari.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Matt Swierk.
Yep.
Thank you so much. First, I want to say congratulations for the awards, and absolutely for Mary to endorse you. You know what type of a rock star and superstar she is, an amazing judge of character. And I've been fortunate enough to work with you and be involved with you. And Mary, you're a servant leader, and everything you do is just for others. It reminds me of the Zig Ziglar quote that help enough people achieve their goals and you'll achieve yours.
Amen.
And so I really appreciate that, about you, and I've always enjoyed working with you. Mary, I don't know if you know how much I love you, and just that you could. We could spend this whole time just talking about how much I respect and love you and what you've done. And I will correct you. You didn't work for me. You worked with me.
Yes.
And you have just came in, brought so much value with everything you do. And again, another amazing servant leader that just wants to help advance humanity. And that's a concept that I came across a couple years ago, where we had this shift in our lives, and we said, okay, we want to change the world, and we said we're just gonna go out and change everyone. And then we said, wait a minute, you don't go and change everyone. What you do is you touch people one by one, and you touch your humanity. So when I think about humanity, my humanity is different from yours and different from yours and different from everyone, because my humanity is who I touch on a regular basis and who's involved with me on a regular basis. Now, you're very close in my humanity because I'm with you on an almost day-to-day basis and, with our community. And Mary, you're part of my humanity, and I don't see you as much because
but
of
I
real
follow
estate.
you. I see what you guys are doing, and I'm paying attention.
Yeah, and you're probably confused, like, what are they doing?
No, I'm excited. I'm like, no, it's actually not like that. It's more like, now what are they doing? Like, this is so interesting. I can't wait to see.
Yeah,
it's been such a cool evolution. I met you in the real estate role, and I saw your wife Yun become the team leader in our office, and you guys build a team, and it was such an incredible growth. And then it was very close with Yun, during COVID, because she did that daily call, which was amazing. And I know you guys still do it in some way, shape, or form today, right? And that was, really a lifeline during COVID and all that uncertainty. So very special place in my heart for you guys with that. And always excited to see what you're doing next.
Yeah, and your office was directly across from my office, so that was cool.
Yeah. I saw you all the time when you were in.
Absolutely. Yeah, and a lot of people said, where did he go? What is he doing? And then I remember, last summer coming to a thing and people said, what is this Africa thing? Like, what is that all about? So, and as you've watched us and you're curious about what we're doing, I'm going to personally invite you. We're having an event on February 2nd, really Elevate 2024, bringing entrepreneurs in really to focus on what passion, purpose, prosperity is. And when I look at my growth and I look at the people around me, it's them saying yes to themselves and connecting to something bigger than what they're in now. We spend a lot of time and a lot of money investing in ourselves and saying yes to people that are in a situation and a life that's so much grander than we are. Because the people that are at the billionaire status, they have a different thought process. They think, act, operate, make decisions completely different than someone that could be a multimillionaire, that's a millionaire, that's someone that's making $50,000 a year. So you become the sum of the 5 people that you're around, and that's really what we're looking to accomplish. The Elevated Human Experience is a virtually based company that's becoming physically enhanced. And we want to bring some of the people that have had an impact on our lives, put them in, physically in front of our world, here in Massachusetts, and the lineup of people that are going to be coming in, the level of, everyone has a different, definition of success. Some it's for money, some it's for time, some it's for, different aspects of freedom. And the people that we're bringing in have just done amazing things. And, again, we could spend this whole time talking about who's coming and the impact that they've had, and really to step into their own superpower, their genius, to create a life by design. From Keller Williams, right? The business objective, life by design, bold. I hold that so dear to my heart,
too.
and a lot of lessons from Gary Keller that I bring in, that have really made a big impact on my life. And I just look for mentors all around. And Keller Williams has been very instrumental for my mindset and skimming the surface of what I now deeply desire, teach, and live. So, all right, let's. I'm going to get all excited here. I am all excited.
Let me just stop you. How do people find the Elevated Experience?
All right, so Elevated Experience, I don't know what that's all about, Mary, but we have Elevated Human Experience, right?
Yep.
No need to apologize. And I'm in a little bit of that mode right now. So we have the Elevated Human Experience, and that is really the platform there's so many different dimensions of that company that we created, and really what it's about is helping people find their passion, create that life by design, and really how using the conscious and subconscious mind to create the lifestyle, the belief systems that we want, what really serves us. And it's a deep dive in how does the 1% who controls most of the wealth, who's created the wealth and most of the world we live in, how do they think, act, operate, and make decisions? So that some of the lessons that we teach upon are, really is about finding your passion and then monetizing that passion, because when you create a business around what you love, you don't go through life, waiting till you're 65 years old. And we talked about this morning, that, there might be this potential of, Social Security now 75 years old. And how unfair is that? And I won't get into politics, even though I'll talk about anything because I'm open. But when we're listening to this with my 11-year-old daughter this morning, and as these commercials are going, this conversation comes, I said, I'm just going to reject everything that I'm hearing, because what we teach is, why have this system that we're in, that you go to school and there's a progress of what happens. Everyone can mentally picture, what is my life supposed to be. So we like to take that model and really flip it upside down and say, okay, when you enjoy your life today and not wait until you're 75 years old, if you ever want to go skydiving, it's going to be a little bit different than when you're 50 versus 75, right? And you hear all these stories of people that retire and they don't have the energy or they don't have the wherewithal to do the dreams of what they set out when they were 20 years old. So what we really focus on is putting that upside down and saying, enjoy life now, create that life, because when it comes to work, it becomes something that you're learning from and you're excited about. And you wake up every day of, how do I get my body into motion? What thoughts do I need to have? What behaviors do I need to have to get to be a different person that's going to achieve the lifestyle of, that I've created in my mind? So I'll spin off of that and directly into elevated safari experience.
Before you go, years ago, I used to be a gerontological librarian. Years ago, there was an author, Richard Bowles. He was famous for approaching the job market in a very different way. But he had a book called 3 Boxes of Life: education, work, retirement, and that was the goal. Mix it up, flip it around, to the end that AARP, which is where I was a librarian, set up a sabbatical. So for every 7 years you were there, they gave you 3 months off to do what you wanted to do with full pay.
Wow.
So that
forward
so
thinking.
the thinking is out there for sure, and thank you for bringing it back into our world. That's really, really important. Thanks. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Elevated human
All right.
safari.
Yes, the safari. I'm excited to hear about this.
Yeah. Of course, this is intentional, and I have a couple different animals. There's what's called the Big Five of Africa, and today's my geometric elephant. That's got a lot of meaning behind that, and I won't go deep into that right now. So when we discuss the idea of passion, right, and purpose, I have been in situations that I could start going into so many different ways, and I'm a talker. And if you look at the disc profile, I'm a high I, so I'm on stage and let me put on the show. This is exciting. It's always exciting. So if I choose it to be, so my wife had really. A couple years ago, well, actually about a year and a half ago, I got into a situation. I'll give you a really quick backstory. I was raised, my parents were divorced, and not the best life as far as seeing a model of marriage, and grateful for what the lessons I learned from my family. And when I took what I learned and created a negative feeling around it and said, okay, this is what I observed, and I'm going to go the complete opposite of it. And I was upset about it, and I was angry about it. And, what happened is I identified a successful marriage for really serving the wife, right? And when you put the wife first and you put her up on the pedestal, and if anyone knows my wife, it's someone that's very easy to just fall in line with what she's a huge visionary, right? And she's got a beautiful imagination, and most of our lives together, I followed what her direction was. And she, after 17 years of marriage, she said, Matt, you've done everything for me, and I want you to step into your own, and what does that mean? And so I said, well, listen, I love sales, I love training and coaching, and it's all fun, and she said, yeah, and you're good at it. I said, all right, thanks. That's not what you're passionate about. I said, I don't know, I am. And she said, I want you to give yourself permission to go inside and really focus, what are you passionate about? So immediately I'm like, I love the Boston Bruins, you know, so and that's kind of a joke. Sometimes I make little funny jokes. All right, so they're funny in my mind. I could sit in this room all by myself and have a blast. And that's true. It's really true.
Let's go.
Yeah. Nick shut it all off. Like, hey, I'm having a great time. You know, there's so many cool things to check out here. I'm a little.
Go for it.
Good energy, Matt. I love it.
4 years old on the inside, 50, almost 51 on the outside. So I went into this strange concept called meditation and quieted my mind. That was a little joke. So I quieted my mind and I said, okay, Matt, what do you love? What are you passionate about? And the answers start to come of nature and animals. So, and that really resonated with me. And my spidey senses just tingled when I said that, because that's my authentic self. I love animals. I love nature. Never mind sitting in this room. I could sit outside all day long, staring at the sky, listening to what's going on. If there was, any wildlife would just set me off like there's no tomorrow, whether even pigeons, squirrels, it doesn't matter. I love it. Right. So the answer came to me, animals and nature. So I said, okay, great. I got my answer. Now let me use one of my intellectual factors. Let me use my imagination and set it free and think about, what does that mean? So I used to be part of a landlord association, and they used to make this joke. We'd have 2 meetings a year, and they would put on the itinerary as a joke these 2 women that always say, like, let's buy a zoo. So that was this running joke. So that immediately came in. I said, okay, well, wait a minute. Should we buy a zoo? How cool would that be? And I said, well, I don't know if I want to buy a zoo. So you know what, Matt? Maybe become a zookeeper. Ooh, that would be fun. Well, you know what? Maybe you could become a veterinarian. You could help the animals in the zoo. No, wait. Maybe you could buy a veterinary practice. And so, no, you could walk dogs. And so the mind was racing with all these different ideas connected to animals and nature. Well, we set, I'll shift and I'll bring this back, I promise. In my world, we set goals a little bit differently than most people do, right? You have the typical SMART goals of what's specific, what's measurable, what actions, SMAR, what's realistic, we'll throw that out the window, and what's the time it's going to take. So we set goals a little bit different, and we set A goal is something that you know how to do. And then you have a B goal is something that you think you can do. And then a C goal is something you really want to do. So 5 years ago, I set this fantasy goal, and I laugh at it because it was really limiting at the time. I thought it was expansive, but when I look back on it, it was a really limited goal, because I set a goal of going on safari for 2 months in Africa. The reason why I say that it was limiting is I didn't believe that I could afford to go away for 2 months. And I didn't believe that how could I take 2 months off of my life and not work and things are okay. And I've positioned myself in different spaces to be able to make that happen. So I woke up, and when it comes to the mind, if we have too many things to focus on, take a fog light versus a laser beam, right? If you have the laser beam, you know directly where you're going. So when I had all these different goals, I just took that 2 months in safari and I put that on the shelf. And I said, that'll happen one day. I'm just not going to bring it into my, my mind and set it into motion. So when I was going through this journey of thinking about what does nature and animals, have to do, one morning I woke up and all of a sudden I said, I set that goal about safari. And wouldn't it be really interesting that instead of going for 2 months, what if I actually owned a company? I can go anytime I want to. And I can bring friends and family, because I talk to a lot of people that's on their bucket list, and but they don't think they can afford it, and they think it's too far away, and what's it going to be? A lot of limiting beliefs. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start a company. So I made a committed decision that I'm going to start a company in Africa. Now, about a month later, because when you make a committed decision, inspired action is going to come in, and the people, places, circumstances are going to unfold. So once you make that decision, you create that burning desire behind it, everything unfolds around you. So about a month after I made that decision, I had no idea about it. I don't focus on, in my life, I don't focus on the how, I focus on the who. And when, about a month after I made the decision, I was doing some personal development work. I was volunteering to help someone. And we were in this pool of people, and we said, hey, you go help these 5 people that you don't know, and you help these 5 people you don't know. And I said, okay, here's my list of 5 people. So the first guy I call, I look up his name, and his name is Octavian. I said, oh, that's an interesting name. So I call him up, and I'm, where are you? And he says, I'm in Oklahoma. I said, okay, great. And he said, I'm from Tanzania originally. And I said, Tanzania. I'm like, that's not Massachusetts, right? I'm a kid from the streets of Boston, right? So I'm like, that's nowhere around. I'm like, where is Tanzania? Is that down south? I don't know. So I'm going through this intake assessment with him, and I say, listen, what's your 1-year goal? And he says, I want to open a touring company. And I said, oh, wow. So my mind goes into music, and I said, oh, wow, he's a musician, and he's going to travel around the world. And, I don't know what that means, but that's really cool. So I don't dig deep. I said, that sounds nice. And I said, okay, 5 years, paint that picture for me. And he says, well, my touring company, now I want to include Zanzibar. And I said, oh, that sounds nice. Wow, that's a sexy word. What Zanzibar?
Sounds very spicy.
Yeah, right. It's the Spice Islands, right? Yeah. So, it literally is. That's a yeah, nice. I love it. So let's trade some dad jokes later. You got mom jokes. It's all right.
Yeah.
I said, okay. I said, Zanzibar. That sounds okay. And I said, well, okay, what else? And he said, well, I want to include Mount Kilimanjaro. And all of a sudden the light bulbs went off, and I said, wait a minute. A guy I know from from real estate, Nick Allerud, he just climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. That's Africa. So now I made the connections, and I said, wait a minute. I said, can you just explain that again to me? Now on the inside, I am exploding with excitement because I said, this is my guy. I made a decision a month ago that I'm going to start this company, and all of a sudden this person got brought into my radar screen that has a goal that he's had his entire life, doesn't know how to do it, and it's something that he's looking to do. So for integrity, I stayed doing the sessions with him, and then after the sessions, I called him up and we talked, and I said, listen, I want to tell you, you and I were brought together for a reason. And he said, Matt, I feel that, I just don't know what it is. And I said, I know what it is. And he said, okay, can you tell me? I said, sure. I said, we're supposed to start that safari company together. And it's been a really interesting process of, okay, let's do this. So a guy from Massachusetts that knows nothing about the travel industry, just has a desire for animals, a desire for nature, partners with a gentleman from Tanzania that grew up where lions and elephants, and not bears, oh my, but lion,
tigers and bears.
Cape Buffalo. I mean, he was telling me that, 50 meters away, like there's an elephant, and you just turn and you do your thing. And he said, my entire life I saw there was a couple people that had been involved with some animal incidents, and he said it was really interesting. And I said, well, that's because the animals can feel that there's a mutual respect for them. That's part of the culture, it's part of the land, and so the animals can sense that, and it's been amazing to learn from this gentleman. So now let's move into, okay, great. So you guys are going to start a company. Awesome. There's a gazillion travel companies out there, a gazillion safari companies. Great. Throw your head, super saturated, awesome. What makes you different from the next company? Mm-hmm. So you can start a business because you see a hole in the industry. You can start a business off of pure passion and excitement, or you can start a business to disrupt an industry. And we said, let's disrupt the travel industry. So in our parent company, or I'll say, I guess parent, main, doesn't matter. When we look at the elevated human experience, we really focus on human behavior, human potential. There is a thing called paradigms, which is a series of mental habits that's stored in the subconscious. 95% of what we do is run by the subconscious mind. So we are very specific about what we teach and how people really break through and break out of the invisible prison that a lot of people don't realize they're in, just going through the day-to-day activities. Because again, you're on autopilot, right? When you pick up your toothbrush, you just brush your teeth. You don't look at the toothbrush and the toothpaste and say, what do I do with this? Right? When I got in my truck today, I didn't look at the keys and say, how does this whole thing work? I have a series of mental habits that's stored in my subconscious that instantly, when I get in my truck, it moves into action. My body moves into action. My body's an instrument of the mind. So we said, okay, wait a minute. What are we looking to accomplish with this company? And, how can we make a difference? So I said, well, I am an expert in the concept of the mind. And what if we took some of our concepts and brought that into the touring business, right? Into the safari business. And Octavian said, well, that sounds interesting, but how do we bring it in? I said, what if we take the big five and we look at what the characteristics of the animals are then we can be very purposeful when we go out on tours. Instead of just sitting back and taking a bunch of pictures, say, wow, look at the wild animals. What if we are planting seeds before we go on the trip, and we tell people, we want you to really be present and connect to what's going on and really observe these animals, and take some of the concepts that we teach and have people have a shift in how they see things. So grateful for this country and what I'm born into and the freedoms that we have. And what I've found, my belief, is that most Americans are not appreciative or grateful for what we have. And we compare ourselves and we say, well, geez, Mary, she's got 5 big screen TVs. I only have 2. And Mary has 3 cars and I only have 1. Oh, man, my life is difficult. My worst day is someone else's dream life, either in this country or somewhere else in the world.
True.
So, we said, okay, let's make this shift and let's bring awareness to what is going on in the world. So we said, let's use the animals, for the human behavior side, I'll give you an example. The lion, I looked down, I don't know why, because I had him on earlier and I changed. So the lion, right? What's the lion known for?
Roaring.
Okay, yes.
Leadership.
Right.
Yeah, leadership.
King of the jungle.
Let's go Wizard of Oz. What was the
Courage.
Courage. Thank you. I'm like, man, how long do I have to thread the needle on this?
I
right?
know.
Read my mind, ladies.
Thank you
Come
for
on.
your patience.
Yeah, of course. Ask the right. You ask a question you don't like the answer. Well, it's not because they gave you the wrong answer. You asked the wrong question. So change
today.
Change the approach. So the lion, for example, right? Yeah, we can go watch the lion and watch it run around and do its thing. And when we look at the lion and understand where the lion is as part of the circle of life, right? And that was horrific. Oh my gosh, the lion just attacked the antelope. Well, that's part of life. Bringing back to the example of courage, right? One of the lessons that we teach on, it goes to goal setting, is what if we can look and embody that courage of the lion, and we really take the courage to and give ourselves the permission to understand what we're passionate about. And even if our ideas sound crazy, wild, pun intended, and out there, what if we can have that courage to step forward and not conform to what our friends, our family, and everyone else around us that says, that's a crazy idea, that you're going to get bumped and bruised, and I don't know anyone that's ever ran a safari company, and you've never been to Africa. Matt, no way. Like, stay safe and stay in your lane. Don't do that. So when we go out, we're using the animals, we're using nature as the classroom to really open the heart and the mind to have a shift of when people leave from why we want to disrupt it is you just go on vacation, it's great. You go right back into your routine. I'm being good. I haven't hit anything yet.
Really well so far.
So we go back into the routine, and the concept of the experience came into play because of with our kids. We were like, we're not going to give them so much stuff. The aunts and uncles are giving them so much, and we would literally take toys, put it in the closet. 6 months later, it's like, oh, look at this, because kids open toys, they throw it, like a next. Mm-hmm. And so my family said, all right, listen, we don't want to do gifts anymore. We want experiences. And we started to understand and have that level of awareness that there's something that's calling people to do more and to be more and COVID, I think, had a big part of that, to reevaluate what was going on and how we're living our lives.
Yep.
So when we look to have experiences, we are taking this concept that you're going to come on the trip with us. You're going to experience something that you've never seen before, going out into these natural habitats. And when we talk about expansion, we said, okay, yes, we can show the transformation with the animals and relate to the animals. And we have all different, examples of how they tie together with our behavior and how we can change our behavior and honor the animals. So we said, let's have some pillars. What does the company stand for? So, yeah, of course, we know that there's endangered species, but, Mary, I'll pick on both of you. When's the last time you thought about an endangered species?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mary? Yeah, okay, right. Same thing for me. So it's like, yeah, we know, and again, what your belief is, but there are some things going on with the environment and things are shifting. And, we have to be conscientious of what's happening. So we don't really put the energy into understanding animal awareness and conserving what we have for animals. So we said we want to bring that awareness on the trip, and we want to talk about that, and we might have some uncomfortable discussions. If you're closed-minded, you're not going to want to come with us because you're going to have a really bad time, right? So,
I doubt that's true.
Yes.
I mean,
That will be one aspect you might not enjoy.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, you're not going to have a bad time.
No, you'd have an amazing time. But I literally talked to someone and I presented my idea to him, and he's in the travel space, and he said, Matt, I got two things for you. I love some of the things you said, and I hate some of the things you said. I said, okay. And he said, I said, lay it on me. He said, if you're going to bring up concepts that I don't share that view with you, and I'm going to be in a vehicle with you for a couple days, he said, that's not going to make me feel good. I said, okay, I respect that. In the back of my mind, I'm screaming, you're the guy that needs to come with me.
Right, yeah.
You got to come with me.
Closed-minded.
Yeah, and I said, okay. And I support him in other ways, and he supports me. And he just said, I love your passion. I love what you're doing. So whatever I can do to forward your mission, I'm just not your client. And I said, great, no problem. And
Excellent.
So he's got his role.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, exactly. So to sum up, to more about the company that just gets me so excited is, we have this vision of building, lodges in certain parts of Tanzania, Africa. And really now going back to awareness, and now we have animals, well, the habitats, right? And so not just the animal habitats in Tanzania or any of these other places. Again, how do we respect the earth that we live on that is going through changes? So we said, what if we use a model of a zero footprint when it comes to the lodge? So using electric safari vehicles, using solar, using everything is going to be sustainable. And the thing that we're really excited about is my friend Ian Ward, who has this concept called agrivoltaic farming. It's solar panels, and in between the panels is land that you can bring a tractor in and grow in between the panels. So being able to maximize the land.
Yeah, multi-purpose.
Exactly. So we said, all right, this would be great because we can serve our guests the food that we're growing on the land. And how about having the attitude of we want to grow so much food that it's going to overflow and we can support the villages around us. So we took that pillar and said, okay, great. Then there's the awareness of self and what our behavior is and what our perception is, and that's a bigger conversation that I won't get too deep into here, but really helping people understand a little bit of this idea of the conscious mind and the subconscious mind and how does that work? Because a lot of us don't even think. 95% of the day we're just going, right? And if we believe we think. It's like, I got to get the groceries, and I got to make sure I get to the podcast on time, and I got to get my bottle of water, and I got to tell Ashley a funny joke, and oh my God, all these things, right? I'm not thinking. I have mental activity that's going through. What am I purposely thinking of? What am I focusing on to create what I want? So we brought that aspect in, and then the last piece of it, which just blows my mind away. A couple months ago, I saw this woman, Doria Cardova, and she's part of one of the groups I belong with. And she said, years ago, everyone's talking about money. And she said, of course I love money and what you can do with money. And I'll bring it back to Gary Keller, right? Money's a magnifier. You give money to someone that has bad intentions, they're doing bad things with that money. Someone like Gary Keller has great intentions, he's going to do great things with that money, right? I'm going to multiply that in my way, in a great way. So we, don't bang the table. I did it.
Make some music. Make some music.
It's like, Nick's like, please, Matt, don't do this, right? I'll start singing. It's like, where did this go? Back on track, Matt. Okay, I'm like, I lost it. Now I brought it back in. So Doria said, I decided I wanted to end world hunger. I said, And she said, now, have I done that? No. My intention has brought in the people, the circumstances, everything around me that's my mission. And when I focus on my mission, everything just falls into place. And she's done some amazing things. So I'm listening to her, and I'm in a marketing group, and they're talking about using polarity to like polarizing the message and making that shock to oh my gosh, and like create the train wreck because we want to see what it looks like. And it happened to be around race. And so, and there was some laughter and some snickering about it. And there was a woman in the group. And now this is a guy that he's an African American, and he's got this whole thing. He's created this brand about this white privilege card, right? And it's literally like an American Express card. And he, puts this out. And what he does is he's making fun of racism, right? But it's a tongue-in-cheek way. Mm-hmm. And this woman, actually, Marja Simon, who's going to be at our event, who is a publisher, she believes, and I love her mission. It's so true. Each one of us has an inner genius. Each one of us has a story. Now, if our self-image is off and limiting, we're going to wake up and say, no one really cares about what my story is. But each one of us has important information that people want to hear and we need to share because it's going to help advance our humanity. Mm-hmm. So after the little breakout session, you know, I'm with Marja, and she said, I said, are you okay? I said, I can feel that you're upset. And she said, I understand where he's coming from. She said, but that's not my message, and I don't like that. And I said, I get it. And I said, Marja, I want to tell you something. I said, this week has been very impactful for me, and I heard Doria talk about ending hunger. Now, when I didn't have a good self-image and I was limited with my thinking, I felt I was an underdog. I felt like I wasn't worthy. I felt like no one saw me, and I didn't feel equal. And I'm getting this calling of my role on earth is to break inequality. So she said, that's amazing. And that's a piece of what we've implemented into the elevated safari experience. So how do you look to break down the walls of inequality out on the Serengeti? Any guess?
Well, it sounds like safaris are for, you know, kind of a high-end traveler. Are you thinking about maybe some more financially accessible type things to people who aren't in that market, or? Yes.
Well, the answer to it is going to be yes, and I love what you just said about that, because you know that you went to a place of opening it up, right? Now, from our research, we have learned that Americans love the high-end luxury aspects of safari. Everyone else, on the world's like, yeah, we'll sleep in a tent on the ground, no problem. Like, we want to get experience the land. So our model starts off with something that's very high end and goes all the way down to a very, very budget-friendly aspect of tours. One of the missions that we're on is really to help underprivileged children. We want to take a portion of our proceeds and create a fund that we will bring underprivileged families from the United States to Africa to experience these things that they probably never would, and really make a shift in their minds and understand that sense of gratitude that, yeah, you know what, your life might look difficult and it is hard and you're going through some challenging times, but when I bring you over to Africa and you see these little kids that are so excited just to see an American and just to just be dancing in the street because they love their life and they don't think about what they don't have. They appreciate what they have. And when I can put that lens onto someone and they can say, wow, and bring them back to their communities, I'm looking to have that ripple effect, that really will extend as far as it possibly can. So going back to and I call it it's not a good vision of it, but I'm like, it's the mini Make-A-Wish Foundation type of thing. But that's, and one thing that was I'm not at the table. One thing that was so interesting is Octavian's from Tanzania, right? So I'm talking to him, I'm thinking underprivileged, and I'm like, again, the underprivileged here in America is so different from underprivileged anywhere else. And I said, do you think we're being narrow-minded by focusing on the United States? And he said, no, I want us to focus on the United States, because that we have the power to have that impact. Yes. So I said, I said, okay, I appreciate that. So back to inequality, back to the Serengeti. Yes, budget friendly. More importantly, we're using the wildlife as an example. When we look at zebras and we observe how the zebras are, the zebras aren't looking at each other across the plains and saying, that one has more stripes than I do. That one's stripes are more symmetrical than mine, right? The giraffes aren't looking at each other saying, his neck is way longer than mine. They don't have that. They are existing in this ecosystem that they are there to survive and thrive. And we're going to use those same types of concepts and bring up this idea, because there's so much judgment in the world and there's so much fighting on how I see it. This is my way. Right. And when we just open it up that everyone's way is right, your human experience is different from my human experience, is different from your human experience. And we want to celebrate that. And there's been so much polarity and putting people into boxes that we're so quick to judge. So that's part of my mission of let's use these trips and break some of this down. When there's something, we made this joke the other day about Africa. There's something so special about it. And, when I was talking to Octavian, he said, Matt, you hear and feel the heart of Africa. And I definitely experienced that when I was there. it changes you. And we want people to get off this soil and to get on that soil. And, Kenya in that region up in the Masai Mara area is known as the cradle of humanity.
That's right.
Right? So when we really want to get into the African Americans and you celebrate this and you're part of this, I made this little joke the other day, like, we're all from Africa. We're all from Africa. We're all African, right? So I just happen to be a Polish, Italian, German African
version,
right? That was born here in the United States. And I say that proudly. And so it's really something that the evolution of this has just become, phenomenal. And we look at creating a movement with this company. The tagline is transformation through travel. Anywhere that there's wildlife on this globe, we can take this model and put this anywhere. So we envision Costa Rica, we envision Colombia, we envision India, we envision Australia. And I can take characteristics of animals and I can relate that to how the humans, how we as humans operate and how we think and how we behave, to really use nature as a classroom, to help people open minds, open hearts, change minds.
So when is the first safari?
May 31st through June 7th.
Wow. All right. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Matt, I've never heard this all put together so dramatically and so passionately. And we need to use this. We need to use this for you, for sure, and to share this vision that you have articulated so passionately. I'm so impressed.
I love the disruption, and it's in such a negative word, and you're doing it in such a positive way. Like that's unexpected. When you first said that, I was like, "What? Like what a rebel!" But in such a good way.
He is a rebel.
No, but I know, but in such a good
That's
way.
my mom.
It's not negative at all, and I love that. So, so are these sustainable, or no footprint, like accommodations there and the solar panels and the garden? Like how far along is all of that?
No, that's the vision, right?
That's the big.
And it's funny because I've stopped saying the end goal, right? Because that's not the end goal. That's not the end goal. And what is something that fascinates me is when I look at this idea of logic and what's logical. We literally have the ability to change what is logical. And, it almost goes back to that really dirty phrase of common sense, right? Common sense is different for everyone. I call it practical sense. And what's logical for me is illogical to a lot of other people. And when I first started talking about this concept, if you went back and watched when I first started talking about it, all the words out, like the limiting beliefs around it was, this is crazy, this is ridiculous, like who do I think I am, right? And I had to fight myself because yes, I put my flag in the ground of I'm going to do this. I made the committed decision and people got excited around it. Well, my stinking thinking, there's a thing called the terror barrier. Like I bounced off of that over and over and over and over again, and again, like, who am I? Like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Now, when I look at the breadcrumbs and I look at this and I feel it on the inside, it's, of course you're supposed to be doing this. Of course you are. And I'll pull a little thing that we found last night that was just, all these little synchronicities and all these breadcrumbs. Before I went to Africa, my partner, so part of, I'm going to pull your question back into it and then sidestep again. So again, a couple guys that one has, he was 11 years old, growing up in Africa. He was a natural tour guide, right? He would go out and show people and get them to hotels and bring them hiking and do all these things. And he said, I always want to do this, and just, he never made, he wanted to, he played with the idea. He never made the committed decision until we actually met. And that's why it's now starting to come into fruition. So, completely lost my train of thought from losing my train of thought, and then I'll bring my train of thought back. So we partnered with a woman who has 7 years of experience in Tanzania, and what really touches my heart, when I think about inequality, there's so many roads you can take, right? Now, growing up with my mother, my grandmother, my sister, I'm very in tune with the feminine energy. I'm very in tune with women's rights, and any advancement of women, I celebrate and I truly enjoy and I get excited about. So when I learned that this is a male-dominated industry and most women fail, to break in with the big boy club, she has burst the doors open and is just absolutely phenomenal, and I really respect that. Well, she sent me this video and she said, Matt, I need you to, you're running a business in my country. You need to understand my country at a deep level. So I want you to watch this thing called the Royal Tour. I said, oh, cool. This is fun. And it was this woman. Her name is, she's the president of Tanzania, first female president. So I said, wow. Tanzania has a female president. That's amazing, right? Mark, you won't believe this. And my mother's, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm like, oh, she's,
I met your mother.
Yeah. She's not a feminist at all. That's it. I love you, Mom. Anything that's wrong in the world was created by a man, especially rotaries and the big digs. So anyway, that's my mother's belief. Yeah. So I watched this video, and this woman literally was a tour guide. She started off going out, and she knows everything about wildlife, and she knows everything about the landscape. Well, she advanced up through the political ranks and eventually became president. And so there was this whole special about her, the Royal Tour. She brought the media out and showed them everything, and all the good, the bad, the ugly, everything about Tanzania. So when I saw that, I'm very intuitive with people and I'm very empathetic. And I said, this woman has amazing energy. I said, I have a connection with her for some reason. I said, I want to meet her. And Octavian's laughing. He's like, you want to meet the president of Tanzania? I said, yeah. I'm like, there's something that's drawing me to her. So when I went to a trade fair in Africa called the Kili Fair, I said, do you think she's going to be there? And he started laughing. He's like, she's not going to be at the Kili Fair. I said, maybe. He said, you can keep dreaming, Matt. She's not going to be there. All right. Okay. Well, we're talking last night, and timing is a big part of life, right? There's something called the law of gestation that, that has to do with seeds, and things take time to grow, and you can make it move faster at some points in time, but you can't plant a seed and then pick it up a day later and say, where's my corn? It takes time. So we have this vision of, Tanzania is in this upward trend of bringing more money in for tourism and doing a lot to get the country on the map. And she's doing an amazing job. And it started with the Royal Tour. That was the point of the show, is to bring awareness of what Tanzania is all about. So I said, all right, we got to get in front of her somehow, right? So we're following on social media, and we're trying to get the attention, through all the analytics of Facebook and Instagram. For some reason, I have a good chunk of people from Dar es Salaam, which is the capital, that are following us. So we're putting the thought energy out there of, I want Mama, her name, her president's Samia, but they call her Mama Samia. I said, I want Mama Samia we want to get on her radar screen, because I know that we have this amazing movement, and it's going to start in her country, and she's going to help us bring this to life. Awesome. So Jan comes in last night. I'm on a call with Octavian, and Jan's like, yeah, you guys got to get in front of her somehow. And something came up about her birthday, and we said, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be funny? We could make a birthday video for her and tell her who we are, and listen, we're going to help contribute to the growth of Tanzania. This guy from America and one of your natives from Tanzania, this is going to happen, and you're going to help us. So I go on Instagram. Jan's talking to Octavian, and I'm going through, and I'm finding the hashtag of Mama Samia, and I look, and it says, happy birthday, Mama Samia. And that was January 27th, 2023. I said, last year, just January 27th is her birthday. That's pretty funny. My birthday is January 27th.
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
Yeah. Well, that's your intuition. That's your higher self saying, isn't that interesting, Mary? So I could not believe that. And, I was beside myself. And I said, this is absolutely phenomenal. So I said, Octavian, with the help of ChatGPT and the amazing aspect of AI, I said, let's craft this beautiful message, and we're going to make a video, and we need to get this in front of her. I said, there's an online paper that we pay to get that. I said, I need you to make phone calls to, back home. How do we get this video in front of her? And if we have to pay someone with an iPad that shows her, this video, that I'm sharing your birthday, and we were meant to do this. That's why I had this weird connection with her. I didn't know what it was. Nice. She's my Aquarius sister, right? Couple of years old. Well, more than a couple of years. That's okay. But that's why I was drawn towards her, and just the goodness and the kindness of her. So the first thing, he texted me this morning. He said, I can get our video in front of her personal assistant. Nice. We'll make that happen. And he said,
first steps.
Yeah, he said,
big first step.
We'll get it everywhere and anywhere. So with her support and with her blessing, that this is going to really help help our company and our movement, make a big splash. And this worldwide movement starts in her country that she's going to be leading, that she doesn't know about yet, but she's going to celebrate, and it's going to be absolutely amazing.
So Matt, you're going to meet Octavian in person for the first time on February 2nd. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, how exciting.
First time he's coming to Burlington to the meeting.
Yeah.
And are you on the program at all?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That'll be lovely. That'll be so awesome. We're running out of time.
Yeah,
so
I know. It's like
you
4 hours later.
You'll have to come back.
You'll have to come back because we want to hear more, but you have been the most energized guest we have ever had. And I can't wait to share this podcast with so many people.
But before you go, what's the website or socials,
Yeah.
or where do people, get into this, the safari, elevated safari experience, or the elevated human experience?
Yeah. So I don't know if I did this at the beginning, but I want to thank you for having me on today. I was and congratulations on your success of this show.
Thank you.
It's been phenomenal, and to get the awards, and just again, servant leaders doing the right thing in the community to help move forward and tell different stories from different industries. I was so excited when you reached out to me, and I think that's part of why I'm so fired up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to be on this show with these. Yeah. And I made a decision a couple weeks ago. I'm like, how am I showing up every day with my attitude? Is it really the way I want? And I said, I woke up one day and said, you know what? I don't think it's been on point. I've been lazy with my attitude. So let me change. I made a decision to change my attitude. So thank you. And so for opportunities to learn about the companies, the Elevated Human Experience, you can find, www.elevatedhumanexperience.com. You'll see a lot about my amazing partner and wife, Yun Ree. She's really the face of it, and she's got such a beautiful face and a beautiful presence.
Yep, we've had her on here twice.
Yeah. So she that's the platform. You'll see all the different things that we're involved with, and if you're interested, just go ahead and pick up the phone. We're very accessible. I have links all over the place, to book a call, and we're really just looking to help people discover what they might be curious about, and if it makes sense to lock arms with us, great, and if not, then we'll put you in a direction that that will serve you. The Elevated Safari Experience. And I was going to pull back, and I won't pull back because I left the trail open, but that'll be the next time we'll pull that trail closed. Elevated Safari Experience can be found at www.elevatedsafariexperience.com. And the social media channels are easier because on Instagram or Facebook, it's just Elevated Safari. And you go on those sites, you're not just yes, everyone loves all the animals. You're not going to see animals. You're going to see things about women's rights. You're going to see things about the world and about, when we did our post about Martin Luther King, I got to tell you, that quote that you shared the other day, that touched me in such an amazing way. And I was like, and I didn't comment, and I should have, and I apologize. But that, I was like, Mary, right on about, doing what's right, what you feel is right. I'm paraphrasing that. But, come check it out. And, I throw my information out there. My phone number is 978-602-2816. I'm always open for a phone call. And, I'm very passionate about, what I do. And if I don't have the answers, I'll put you in the right direction. And I wish you both the continued success of this podcast and the different ventures you're doing, and keep crushing it in real estate. You're doing a great job.
Exactly.
And Mary, you're the connector, and you're the fairy godmother that sprinkles her magic everywhere, and you've got a lot of them.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for coming.
Matt. We love you. Thank you so much.
I love you too. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great.